this is another one of those cases where Alvin Bragg was trying to bootstrap a FEC federal election law issue to a state law issue, Harry, and even though he had no jurisdiction to be filing or be charging Donald Trump with federal crimes. So there's a lot of issues with the case. Then President Trump gets elected again, and suddenly there's even bigger issues. So it's not just the Supreme Court's ruling. Now you have to deal with the fact that he's about to be in office, and yet still this judge, at least this week, unwilling to give it up.
I think that's correct. And one of the things that's apparent, I think, to most observers is the lawfare against Donald Trump has actually helped him politically. But if we focus on Judge Merchan's decision in this case so far, he has ruled that Trump does not have presidential immunity for his campaign finance conviction. So essentially, we have a state action brought to vindicate campaign finance law, which is a federal offense. And so what Judge Merchan has done at this particular point in time is he has ignored the Supreme Court's presidential immunity decision, which holds that presidents have immunity for official acts while president. So to be clear, Judge Merchan's decision rejected one of several avenues available to him that would enable Trump to dismiss his guilty verdict on 34 counts of falsifying business records. The judge did not explicitly rule on Trump's motion to dismiss on grounds that Trump has now been elected president. So I think if we focus solely on Judge Merchan's decision, we have a situation in which we have an outstanding Supreme Court decision on immunity, and Judge Merchan basically saying if evidence was introduced concerning Donald Trump's official acts, first, such evidence was harmless error, but secondly, Judge Merchan has concluded that no such evidence was indeed introduced. So in some respects, Judge Merchan is A, not clear, and B, he's contradicting himself.
Well, and Professor Hutchison, you have to look at this and think, one, these things have been drug out so long at this point. That's why a little bit it's surprising that Judge Merchan took his time, delayed releasing this, and still came up with these conclusions. But you have to think it sets up the president for an appeal, having these rulings across the board that nothing was covered under immunity on such really a subjective thought exercise, if you will. It really begs the question if Judge Merchan even was concerned about his legacy as a jurist on the court there, that he would have taken the easy off-ramp instead of setting it up for multiple layers of appeal that could be brought against this ruling.
I think you're right, except Judge Merchan, along with many people in Manhattan, is stubbornly committed to the Trump derangement syndrome. So I think at the end of the day, he could not persuade himself to basically take the easy off-ramp, if you will. Instead, he is stubbornly insisting that this case move forward. Now, there are several additional moves that the Trump lawyers have made, which will enable at least the judge to take an easier off-ramp. But right now, my guess is he is prepared to stubbornly insist that Trump face potential punishment after, for instance, he serves his term as president. So keep in mind, Judge Merchan is considering a motion from Manhattan District Attorney Bragg involving a controversial novel idea from Alabama, the so-called abatement by death approach, which would maintain the conviction as if Trump had died. So there are many routes for Judge Merchan to exercise, if you will, his stubbornness.
Yeah, I mean, at some point, I think that, though, Harry, just briefly, the stubbornness comes to a close, right? He's running out of options to keep this case up.
I think that is true, but I think one of the things that we should keep in mind is that he may still basically try to hold the hammer over Trump's head until Trump leaves office.
We're going to be on it, folks. If we need to file there yet again, and as these go on appeal, we will. Support the work of the ACLJ, as you said, as we talk through these cases. 175 pro-life legal matters just this year, 197 free speech matters just this year, 142 religious liberty matters just this year, 126 legal actions battling the deep state, and then the cases that just hundreds that don't fit into those exact categories. You know why we were able to do all those cases? Because of your financial support of the ACLJ.